A very good morning to you. You're welcome to the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. My name is Rome Paulson.
And I am Nyamguru Agaji. It's our pleasure to have you join us today to have breakfast with us, and we hope that it's going to be the start to a very wonderful day for you and everybody around you.
That's right. It's Tuesday, the 25th of March, 2025, and it's known as World Retrospective Day. So obviously, this is a day to just look inwards and have that, just reflect on a lot of things. So sometimes it's really great for the workplace because it helps with better engagement. You connect deeper, because when you think about the past and maybe I should have done this better or not, then you know what to do for the future. So that's what World Retrospective Day is all about. And
if you look at your life in retrospect, you will also ask yourself the question, if you have been very good to yourself in terms of health, how have you been looking inwards to see how much of health have you required for yourself? Because some of the times we are the ones that do the things that put us in the state that tomorrow we'll be spending money. We just celebrated or remembered or marked the World Tuberculosis Day.
Yes.
And today we'll be talking about colon cancer and so many other health issues. How much of a relationship, like one of our quotes that we've been bringing to you here says, how much of a relationship do you have with your body? Because it is about listening to your body and doing what you're supposed to do. So ask yourself now in retrospect, did you listen or have you been listening to your body to make sure that you're as healthy as you should be to carry on the day's activity, one day at a time?
One day at a time. And today we'll be looking at several hot topics, one of which is federal government orders probe into Kogi prison break. Much later in the show, of course, we'll be discussing colon cancer, so understanding the risk, the symptoms, the factors, and the prevention as well. We'll also be taking the global stories that has made it to the front pages of our national dailies. And moving over to our top trending stories this morning. The first one says, Inec receives petition to recall Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan. The Independent National Electoral Commission, Inec, has officially received the recall petition against Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The petition submitted by constituents of Kogi Centrals and signed by over 200,000 registered voters followed her suspension from the Senate on March 6 for alleged gross misconduct after a dispute with the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio. Akpoti-Uduaghan has earlier accused Akpabio of sexual harassment, sparking tension in the upper chamber. INEC Secretary Rose Orara Anthony confirmed receipt of the petition and assured the public that due process would be followed in line with constitutional provisions. Representatives of the constituents, including Comrade Saliu Abib and Hamza Yakubu, expressed confidence in the recall process, citing the senator's failure to engage her community and represent their concerns. They called on INEC to act swiftly on the petition following a federal high court ruling in Lokoja on March 22nd. The previously issued restraining order preventing INEC from receiving a process and processing the recall petition has been lifted. The court affirmed that the legality of the recall process and urged constituents to exercise their civic rights peacefully, clearing the path for INEC to proceed. Wow, this is quite unfortunate. I mean, I've always known that, you can recall a senator, but in this case, I mean, I would have wanted a little bit more investigation to be done into the issue at hand and not just recalling, Senator Natasha. There's a lot. I know she has even gone to the UN as well to speak about everything that has happened. The fact that she's gotten a 6-month suspension, and with that, all of the privileges that she once, enjoyed has also been taken away from her. And it's a lot at the moment, because I would have thought that, if you want everything to be as clear as day, it's important that we investigate, we see the outcome of it. But in a way, this just seems like a power play at hand. What do you think, Yamgo?
Well, I'm really, really disturbed because, especially after coming very closely after the state of emergency in Rivers, which I think was a gross illegality that should never have happened, but to just show that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's what is happening here. No ground rules were followed in any way. In this case, yes, I know that this is the beauty of democracy. If you are not representing people well, you can be recalled. And for the first time in our history, this may come to pass, except that I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I don't believe that it was not a sponsored thing. I don't believe
the situation.
I don't believe that even 90% of the people who signed it really know what is going on. If you ask them to analyze what happened in the Senate, that will cause them to say Natasha is not representing them well. I don't think a lot of them can explain it. But if that is the case, that means that something has gone under the water. So if people can be given 1,000 naira to vote for
I feel like they literally
right,
just gathered people together.
Yes, I believe that strongly. That's my opinion as a person. You know, I don't believe that the people are really concerned about what happened in the Senate. They're concerned about what possibly has gone, has exchanged hands for them. It is not possible to say Natasha has not represented them well.
Yeah.
Even if she misbehaved in one or two things, but she's very vocal. She has the interest of her people at heart from the way she's been talking and the things she's been doing. That is not someone you say is not representing you well.
In fact, I know one of the issues that she brought to the House was the fact that, you know, she felt like she wasn't given that opportunity to represent her people because she was bringing out bills and they were nobody was listening to her. And that's why she felt that she was, you know, the case of the sexual harassment, maybe that's what was playing out there. I mean, this is all, you know, news that we're not really sure of, and that's why I said an investigation should have been done. Having 200,000 registered voters, I'm wondering where they got those people from. I'm sure they just put out a notice, oh, come on, give you 2,000 naira, and everybody
if they have political parties, if you check, you will find out that most of them will belong to one political
Exactly.
party.
They just bring people together.
And there are people who a lot of people are suspecting that should have been in prison now that they have also co-sponsored, you know, with the person, whoever did this. Because one of the things we heard her voice on was a Jakarta Steel Complex, which is something that can revolutionize the industrial sector in Nigeria. And she was very outspoken. She wanted that thing to be done and all that. They had to quiet her down. So someone like that, but what pains me the most is, like they say in an adage, that the tree does not cry because the axe cut it down, but it cries because the handle to this axe is also a tree. You know, it comes from a tree, you know, when axes were made like that. So what pains me most is that people who are at the fore are women. That 25% of the women in the Senate have been silent because they're just 4. So that means she represents like 25%. They have been silenced, and it's the women who are pushing this more than even the men. That's what breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart. So you will be comfortable with this, the National Assembly saying, let us allot seats to women, that, you know, tomorrow they will tell you didn't work for it, after all we just gave it to you. And then you're comfortable.
You should be grateful.
Yeah, you're comfortable that a woman who fought tooth and nail and got to that, in fact she got it through the courts, will now
Because I remember all
silence.
I remember all she has to go through, you know, during the election and everything. I think the road to her constituency was even bulldozed.
People died.
It's quite sad. And you know, the funniest part of this whole thing is obviously the representatives of the constituents, that's the comrade Salih, Habib and Amza, have expressed confidence in the recall process. So they're okay with this.
They expressed confidence in the state of emergency, which was unconstitutional, which was illegal, and signed it. So people who can sign their soul away are not people that I can trust to tell me that they like the process. Process of what? It breaks my heart. This is not democracy. We are witnessing in our time the death of democracy. I'm sorry to say, but I think that's what is going on here. People are, when they were talking about PDP doing things with impunity, I think this is the real definition
exactly.
I want to show you. And I think the Senate or the National Assembly is not a nice place. It's not fair to opposition. It's not fair to gender fair. It's not anything.
That's why I said it's a power play.
They don't even do anything with ideals or something. They just
with your interests at heart. No, it's just the power play. Whatever we want to do, we will do that, and there's nothing you can do about it.
It's just a terrible thing. Oh well. Let's see. Naira weakened by 1.2% last week. That's what we're looking at now. Naira falls as oil deal stalls and fixed pressure mounts. So it It weakened by 1.25% last week, closing at 1,536 Naira 89 kobo to a dollar at the official market. This decline followed stalled negotiations between the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and local refineries over a Naira for crude deal, with Dangote refinery halting Naira-based sales, increasing pressure on forex demand. Despite CBN's continued interventions to stabilize the currency, analysts warn these efforts may only bring temporary relief without deeper structural reforms. At the parallel market, however, the Naira appreciated slightly to 1,568 Naira to a dollar as traders responded to shifting market conditions. Meanwhile, Nigeria's foreign reserves dropped to $38.35 billion as the CBN continued defending the currency. Oil prices rose to $85 per barrel amid global tensions and OPEC plus production cuts, adding further uncertainty to Nigeria's external earnings and currency outlook. One of the many sins of Emefiele was that he was defending the Naira, so he shouldn't have done that. He should let it flow and all that. Now I'm seeing in this report how the CBN is defending the Naira, and we're applauding the Naira. You know, when it comes down to 1,005, it has gained a lot. It is so nice.
Gained strength.
You know, I don't know where we're going in this country.
I said this, I'm like, just 5 years ago, we saw the dollar at 300 and something Naira. 5 years later, that's over 500%. So, and that's something was to celebrate. But guess what? Even if you celebrate that, it's being cut short. Because before you know it again, it's weekend. And it's just the volatility of it all, especially
that's the terrible part of it.
Especially for businesses that have to deal with FX. Imagine, I don't even know what the next day's rate would be like. And if I am obviously pricing my goods at this, or maybe I already have a contract with someone, how do I go back and say, oh, sorry, Naira has done this again? It's just all over the place. And I know that they keep trying to pump in money for it, but I'm not sure that's the best solution. In as much as it might seem as a stopgap measure, great. But why are we not looking at other means to ensure that we stabilize the Naira once and for all and it is sustainable? Of course, oil prices have to do with it, the revenue that we get. But like we always say, we cannot be a nation that is always importing and expect our currency to grow. We need to find ways to export. Why are we not really looking into agricultural, mechanized farming, where we can get, do you know that we import food in this country?
Well, we import even pizza.
Everything.
Pizza, we import pizza.
We import everything. So imagine if we were growing our own food first, we're able to, serve our nation, and then we have enough to export and make money of it, which, coincidentally, our next top trending talks about hunger. So there's a food crisis first, whereby we cannot feed ourselves. And then talk more about now exporting. We just keep looking at oil, but guess what? Oil prices are always going to fluctuate as well. So that means for a very long time, the Naira is also going to fluctuate.
Well, I don't know. They went to Chatham House and they were advised. Them, I'm not saying all of us, they were advised that they should continue to weaken the Naira. It's good for our economy, and I wonder how that can be good for an economy that depends on imports. You weaken your Naira, that means anything you get from outside will be so outrageous.
Well, the reason is that, investors can come in knowing that if the Naira is weakened, obviously, you know that if you're investing a lot of money, maybe you're investing in dollars or in pounds or whatever the case might be, you have a lot to get.
That's gibberish. Will you invest in a currency that is lower than your own by like 1,000%? People are now saving in dollars because the dollar is high. If you want to do business in America, you do the business, and when that money comes back to Nigeria, it's a lot of money. Would you rather go to a country where the Naira is higher to do business there, so that when you bring back your money, maybe 10 million of that money becomes 2,000 Naira?
What's the value? I remember when we used to laugh at Ghana, with their CDs, and you'd like, to buy maybe a teacup or whatever, you have to use like how many million CDs. And then even the Zimbabwean currency as well. But look at where we are. We're falling right into it. Ghana cedis is obviously they had to like do.
It's higher than ours.
Yeah.
Kenyan shillings are higher than ours.
Look how we are, the giant of Africa.
Almost every currency in the world is bigger than our own, and this is the giant of Africa, like you said. I don't know what the people are thinking, but all I know is that a lot of them know what should be done, but they are not doing it. And whatever the ties you might have had with your, maybe they also have their godfathers that they want to, external godfathers that may not be Nigerian, other nations, Western nations and all that. But you are not thinking about your people, and that is wickedness. Yeah. That is sheer wickedness.
Like I said, they just need to find a sustainable means to ensure that this Naira gains strength. What's the true value of our currency? That's the first question before they even start to look at other ways. The true value of our currency. Should we be paying 1,500 and something to the dollar? I would have loved, in as much as maybe we cannot get back to 400 Naira per dollar, but at least maybe 900, 800, something that is easier. What can you do? That's what you should be doing right now. So sustainable measures for the Naira that can ensure that businesses would be able to thrive, because if you're looking for taxes, if you're looking for income, you're looking for revenue, that's what you need to be doing. All right, another top trending story we have this morning is millions of Nigerians face severe hunger despite food security law. A World Food Programme WFP report has revealed that 11 million Nigerians across 6 northern states are facing acute food insecurity in 2025, despite the passage of the Right to Food Act in 2023. The crisis worsened by insecurity, poor policy implementation, and economic hardships, particularly in northern Nigeria. Child malnutrition is also alarming, with 1 in 3 children under 5, about 11 million of them, experiencing severe food poverty. In 2024, Medicine Sans Frontières (MSF) took over 300,000 children from malnutrition, a 25% increase from 2023. Of this, 75,000 required critical inpatient care, while 250,000 were managed through outpatient programs in 7 states. MSF has begun stockpiling supplies ahead of peak malnutrition season, but warns that decreased funding could weaken its response. MSF's country representative, Dr. Simba Tirima, urged authorities to take urgent action, stressing that without adequate therapeutic food supplies, preventable child fatalities could rise. So in fact, they're already stockpiling because they know that the numbers could just,
How do you pass a food security law when you've not put anything in place
for it?
Food security there, or food available to the people. The government may be saying a lot of things on paper and all that, but I'm not sure they're doing anything practical. And I'm talking about basic food, rice, beans, yams, cassava, and all that. I don't know what they're doing. For instance, if you're processing or you're planting rice, there's small machines that they use to plow the ground. You don't even need tractors. These machines were sold for like 400,000, like 2 years ago. Now it's about 1.5 million naira. So how do the farmers now get this? So it would mean that they either cannot get this, and they'll go back to using the hoe and knife to plant the rice that should not be done in this 21st century. And so what is the government doing? If you cannot get tractors for some locals to do what they're supposed to do, why not make sure that every farmer can afford, or every group of farmers can afford these plowing machines and all that? Nothing is being done about that.
I mean, it would have been nice if they were trying to invest in local production, because like I always say, Nigeria is so blessed with fertile lands. We have the right weather condition as well, and we can do so much. In times past, agriculture has fed our nation. Before the oil that we all love today, I mean, everybody loves
Naira was greater than the pound.
As at that time, and we did a whole lot with that. We were able to survive as a nation. So why are we not really looking at agriculture and how to make it easier for farmers? Just a big thought question. All the monies that were being saved from fuel subsidy, why are you not saying, you know what, we're not giving you fuel subsidy anymore. Since we're taking out that money, we're going to invest it into agriculture.
We're losing.
They did. But my point is, you could have said, you know what, what's the reason? I think if you're going to take out something, you're taking it out because maybe you're looking at your scale of preference and you're saying this needs more funding at the moment. If you're taking out fuel subsidy, everybody's quiet about it, right? But if we know that you're investing it into something like agriculture, education, the healthcare system, whatever the case might be, we will not be screaming as we are now because we know that something is already being sorted out for us. But as a person now, I need to think of the food I'm going to put on my table. Over 11 million people are hungry in Nigeria, and that is just a little statistic. That's exactly not. That's just a little statistics of about 7 states. So imagine what the entire country is like. I'm hungry too, to be honest. I'm sure you're hungry. I know we're having breakfast, but I'm sure you're hungry. Everybody is hungry in Nigeria at the moment. So the basic necessity of life, we cannot even have that. And then you take out fuel subsidy, but we don't know what you're using the money for. You take out loans day in, day out. We don't know what you're using those monies for. I think there's a lot more we can do. It just depends on the political will of our leaders to say we want to be able to do this. And honestly, I would think that the president in his own administration right now can just look at something and say, you know what, I want to fix this problem in Nigeria so that when I am gone, they know that I was able to sort this out. Either it's electricity or it's food, or is education. I know, of course, they have the whole student loan thing. That's by the way. Or the healthcare system. Just fixing one thing, knowing that you're putting all of your energy into that, and you'll be remembered. Your name will be etched when it comes to things about Nigeria and people that made Nigeria better. But here we are. We're still talking about hunger in 2025.
Well, we still remember Hitler, so. It depends on.
Oh my goodness!
If you talk about remembrance, they will remember him. But like I said, Hitler has.
We still remember Idi Amin.
Idi Amin and all that. So.
But I think it's important that in as much as we're doing the whole tax reforms, we're putting a lot of policies. It shouldn't just be on paper.
Once you see,
practical execution is important.
They told us how much we were losing with this fuel subsidy. Now that it has been removed, they're not telling us how much we're gaining. They're just telling us they're giving more money to states, and that's the end. So we don't know what is coming into the country. So we cannot hold them accountable. That's what they do. There's
just a lot of skeletons, things that are being hidden under the table. And I just hope that one day there would be that light that would come and shine through everything under the bushel.
It's just unfortunate that in our time we are looking at the death of democracy as it is. It used to be go to the courts, and until we knew that the courts have been compromised. Now everybody is calling for state of emergency anywhere else instead of us fighting it. In fact, right now they're calling for state of emergency in Osun, which means it's something that you can just wake up and do anytime you like.
So that's my problem with it, because when I heard about the state of emergency in Rivers State, the first thing was this is going to set a precedent for other states to follow. And times to come, because it has happened before, so it can happen again. And
let's just wrap up, please. If we continue to talk about it, we will never finish.
All right, that's it for our top trending stories. We'll go on a short break. We'll have the weather report, and when we return, we'll be looking at the stories that made it to the front pages of our national dailies this morning. Please stay with us.